Comments like this are exactly what is wrong with our society today. We do not understand the difference between abuse and discipline. And I get it. No one wants to admit that they were abused or treated wrongly by their parents who are supposed to love them the most. But we will never be able to actually heal from the abuse that we've experienced if we can't call it for what it is. So let's talk about it. What exactly is abuse? How will you know if abuse is happening? For a long time, I myself didn't understand what abuse was, and that was why I found myself stuck in an abusive marriage without having any idea that that's what was actually happening to me. It wasn't until a friend actually sat me down and said, Angela, the things that you were going through are not normal, and I think that what you're experiencing is abuse. She showed me this thing called the power and control wheel of abuse and domestic violence. It was a tool that was created to help people understand and identify abuse as it shows up in abusive relationships. I'm going to share it with you now. This is the power and control wheel of abuse and violence, and as you can see, it has power and control at the center of the wheel, and that is because any time that we see an abusive relationship show up, we are going to see power and control at the center of that relationship, where one person is trying to exert power and control over another person. We can also see 8 different aspects that will show up in an abusive relationship. And those 8 symptoms of an abusive relationship are using intimidation, using emotional abuse, using isolation, minimizing, denying, and blaming, using children, using male privilege, using economic abuse, and using coercion and threats. I encourage you to pause this so that you can read the smaller text to see how each of those examples shows up in an abusive relationship, so that you have a more clear idea of what to look for. So now that you have a clear idea of what abuse is and how it can show up in a relationship, I want you to go back and watch that original video that this comment was left on, and I want you to tell me, do you see any signs of abuse in that interaction between that mother and her child? And if you don't, I think you need glasses. Or maybe you need to get your hearing checked. Ironically enough, when I started reading and learning about the dynamics in abusive relationships, not only did I realize that I was in an abusive marriage, but I also realized that I was actually perpetuating another type of abusive relationship through my job as a public school teacher. Every single one of those 8 aspects of an abusive relationship were present in my relationship with my students as a public school teacher. Not because I was trying to be abusive towards them, but because abusive and toxic systems produce abusive and toxic results in the people that are part of those systems. And if you want to learn more about that topic, I invite you to check out my book, Tales of a Toxic Teacher, Exposing the Cycles of Abuse Within Our Schools. You can purchase a copy on Amazon, or you can download the ebook version via the link in my profile. Oh, and if you're a Christian and you want to further understand the difference between abuse and discipline, I invite you to check out the first book that I published, which is called Gospel-Based Parenting, a biblical study of discipline and discipling.